So I've been talking with family and friends back home in Canada for the last little while, and one of the topics that keeps coming up are the things that Japan does really well and better than Canada, and the things that Canada does better than Japan. And so I've sat down and thought about it, and today we're going to talk about it. Now, there's lots of different ways that you can measure one country against another. I mean, you could talk about economics, you could talk about healthcare, you could talk about crime, but all that stuff is pretty serious, and let's face it, we don't want serious. So today, I'm using 5 categories that we'll measure these countries with. Number 1, convenience stores. Now, here in Japan, convenience stores have an amazing reputation because they are actually convenient. And here's what I love the most, you're not gonna get gouged on the price like you do at home. Back in Canada, it's like a scene out of Clerks, and I know that we think that that movie's a comedy, but to the Japanese it would be a horror film. Rude staff, dirty floors, food that's been on the shelf for weeks. Ugh. There's no two ways about it. On the category of convenience stores, Japan wins. Number 2, we're talking money, and no, not the country's economy, but actually getting your own out from an ATM. Now, in Canada, we're really fortunate. Interac is an awesome network that allows you to put your bank card into pretty much any ATM in the country and take out cash. Mind you, the banks do screw you over pretty good whenever you go to a bank that's not yours. But here in Japan, things are a lot more complicated. Japan is a very big cash economy. Debit cards and credit cards really aren't used all that much in stores, so you need to have cash on hand at all times. And your debit card will only work in an ATM that belongs to your bank. All the banks don't talk to each other. There's a couple of exceptions. Japan Post and 7-Eleven both have ATMs that are pretty universal. And those are the only 2 places where you can use international debit cards. So for me, if I want to get cash out, I actually have to go and find myself a post office or a place that has a post office ATM because my bank doesn't cooperate with 7-Eleven, at least not for my account. So needless to say, it's a little bit more of a hassle here in Japan to get cash out, and you really do need it. So the advantage for convenience goes to Canada. Number 3, drinking. We all like to have a good time and maybe have a few drinks. And in Canada, doing that is a pain in the butt. Outdated, puritanical, archaic drinking laws that treat adults like children when it comes to buying alcohol. But in Japan, it's a lot different. See, pretty much any store you go to can sell alcohol if they want to, as far as I've seen. You can go to a convenience store, a supermarket, a department store, even your neighborhood cafe will likely have some beer and wine on hand. Now, that said, there is a downside to that. Seeing the drunken salaryman passed out on the road or in a train station is a pretty common sight because guys just drink too much sometimes and they can't handle their liquor. Overall, Japan's system really does treat adults like adults, and for that, they get a thumbs up. Number 4. Now, I feel kind of bad about this one because I know I'm pretty harsh on the topic. When it comes to pizza, Canada is pretty hard to beat. Deep dish, you can find pan pizza, you can find traditional Italian style pizza. Granted, Japan has some of the world's best Napoli pizza chefs who make that traditional Italian style margherita pizza, and that is absolutely phenomenal. But when you start to look for the other stuff, you're searching high and low and coming up with no results. And for the love of God, can somebody please stop putting corn on pizza? I get it. Japan loves corn, and so as a result, it's on a lot of the different pizzas you find. But all I'm asking for is some ooey gooey mozzarella, spicy tomato sauce, thin slices of delectable pepperoni, all on a pan-fried piece of bread. Nothing gets me salivating like pizza from back home, and so as a result, point to Canada. All right, we're tied up 2-2. Time for the final category. Category number 5, public transit. Now, back in Canada, and especially on the prairies where I'm from, if you take the bus to work, people will look at you and say, "What's your problem? Don't you have a car? Are you a real adult?" Let's face it, there's a stigma attached to taking transit in many Canadian cities outside of Vancouver, Montreal, or Toronto. Here in Japan, though, when it comes to going to school, going to work, going into the city, they'd rather take the train or the bus because it's more convenient, it's less expensive, and you can actually get there faster than you can with your own vehicle. North America has to take a serious look at how Japan does transit because they're doing something right over here. They've privatized parts of the system, buses run on schedule, the prices aren't all that bad. overall it's a great experience. So for our tiebreaker, the point goes to Japan. So congratulations, Japan, you win. Truthfully, Canada and Japan are great countries. My heart is in both of them, and there are so many great things about this place, and you should really come and explore. That does it for this video. For more like it, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, and for more of my travels, go to my blog, gonejohn.com.